game away from a rematch against BLG tomorrow. G2 have to climb an almighty mountain if they're going to make it back into this series. We're already into picks and bans. G2 on the blue side again, electing to be there. Senna, Ash, and Azir, their bans this time. Rek'Sai, Zac, and Poppy removed by T1.
The adjustment here, the Azir banning away Faker.
Oh.
I think the plan of try to go as hard as you possibly can towards mid lane is a good plan for G2. And the Tristana was left up, so that's a good start.
Yeah, this is a brilliant start. Caps has looked absolutely exceptional on the Tristana. Probably the best player on it at the tournament thus far. His rocket jumps have been on point, but you are in an uphill battle. T1 have only ever been reverse swept once by KT in 2016 summer, and it has never happened at an international event.
I also like the Tristana because the Tristana probably means that Yike is going to be on like Maokai tank duty, and I think that he maybe deserves a little tank duty now in this series for a little bit, so that might also be a good pairing.
Let's do it. Talia locked in for T1. Two very strong picks in the current meta. Will G2 look for like a traditional AD carry? The Varus obviously comes up. You still have the Draven as well. With the Ivern this early, my expectation is Hansama will be going towards a normal AD carry bot.
Ivern duty also accepted. He was very, very good on the Ivern here. This one definitely a very successful comp for G2. And the answer on the side of T1, I always love Vibe, but I don't know if they have the same love for it with... Okay, good. I'm just like, the combo is so guaranteed. It is just like clockwork. But I have seen Caps buffer every CC known to man on Tristana, so I could see reasoning if they don't want to.
One of the first times I ever learned that you can buffer out of Vi Ultimate was watching Caps buffer out of Vi Ultimate 4 times in a row in a game. So I think if you go on Caps, there's always that risk. However, you can go on the Varus, you can go on the Ivern. There's a lot of different targets for the Vi-Talia combination to lock someone up, and it is still very powerful.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see here as we whittle down on the support role. They already took out the Renata. Response from G2 over here.
Yeah, it feels like you're probably setting up for Kerry to take the Nautilus on this next rotation. You keep the counter pick for Zeus, so Renata going to be taken away. The question mark is if Mickey feels comfortable on the Alistar. He didn't look that great on the Nautilus in the last game. So I wouldn't be surprised if Kerry just wants to maybe even take the flip side of that match.
Are they doing the same thing where they're going to double Cassante protection bans to allow for the Cassante though?
It's just banned immediately, so it's not even going to have an option to go for it. So now do you start to look at the Camille that was so strong for his ace in that last game? Like you have to try and blind pick something for Broken Blade right now, and there's a lot of pressure there with the Zac, the Cassante. Do you fall back to an Ornn? Is that the way this game is going to end up going?
Twisted Fate is a possibility as well. If you want another AD carry on your team, I do think we've seen G2 actually play the TF alongside this composition before. So the Camille banned away, Nautilus pick as you both expected. Where do G2 go? Support, last time we saw the Leona alongside the... It wasn't alongside the Varus, it's against the Varus against top esports, but Leona is very powerful if you want to try and lock someone down in the bot lane.
Could be an angle for a Rumble Alistar here if you really wanted to, but TF could also be the fallback here. I just think you need some sort of engage here for G2 in that bottom side.
Yeah, it has to be since you have Ivern as jungle, and they're going to go with the defensive Braum here. This would be a very defensive kite back setup for G2. Double AD carries plus a lot of protection.
You could just go for a tank in the top lane, as you say. You have a lot of protection for that back line. The Ivern does such a good job. Where will Broken Blade go, though?
Blinding against Zeus. This is difficult. Zeus has been massive this entire series, as you were talking about. And he goes for the Jax blind.
But this is, like, you can go over towards the Rumble if you really want to. I think this is essentially going, hey, you can't go for the Twisted Fate yourself in response, trying to preempt that, but what does Ace want to go for? He's been very, very good when he gets his counter pick domestically and internationally, and it looks like this is going to be the Rumble angle with the setup on the Vi, the Nautilus, and also having that Talia flick back. This is a great Rumble position.
Okay, when you've got a Braum and an Ivern, your level 1 looks pretty sick for G2. This is an elimination game. I feel like you've got to cook something special here with a level 1 play, because if you can get some early kills and snowball that way, then you have a lot of threats later on in this game.
I think you need to find some sort of early success, but that's been the problem for G2. T1, even though Faker got pointed at in the last game, have actually done a good job of slowing down the pace of the game so they can try and play it through side lanes, try and play it through map pressure, and then coaxing G2 out of their hiding spots. But now, G2, you need to be explosive. You need to take over the early game or run the risk of this being a 3-0.
We'll say, although Rumble a very powerful top lane pick, not something we see Zeus on too often. He's only played it once so far this year, only 8 times across the course of his career. Obviously, when you have Carrier in the bot lane, often the Rumble is going to go down there, right? So I'm not saying Zeus can't play it, just something we don't see him bring out too often. For G2, their backs are against the ropes. A win here is the only thing that keeps them and Europe's chances at MSI alive. For T1, we said it last week, it seems like it might just be another Friday, a 3-0 versus an LEC team versus G2 as well. 5 years since the last time G2 were able to get a victory in this matchup.
And for this specific T1 lineup, such a huge deal made that they stuck together and they were able to get all the players back from the championship winning team to run it again. Their goals are much higher than just winning this series. Their goals are to continue winning championship after championship.
So what's the play, G2? Do you jump over with the Tristana? Oh, Root Caller would have been the call, can't find it.
I still like it though. That's the type of level 1 cooking that I'm looking for. Maybe, I think that might be it. You give up so much presence when they know that everybody is up on that top side. So they gave up Raptor Ward here as well.
Yeah, just doing their due diligence and checking out their bottom side, making sure that no one has set up. But you can see now BB going to be under a little bit of pressure. Will have to back away from this. No sweeper to try and clear anything on that bottom side. So that ward will stick around for T1 as Broken Blade got to spot out that this lane swap going to more than likely happen here for T1.
I don't know if he's seen Gumayushi. He's definitely seen Carrier as he walked around. They will on the...
though, so.
Yeah. I'll see him in a moment, as you say. So it will be a lane swap once again from T1. Caps against Faker in the mid lane. Caps on his Tristana has had such a good performance on this champ at MSI. Won 4 of the 5 games he's played. Mickey once again looking to burn that flash in mid. Caps jumps in. Faker has the flash. Flash counter strike possible from Broken Blade. Faker flashes away. Concussive blows starting to proc as Carrier comes down. Gumayushi on the way as well.
Faker keeps himself cool, calm, and collected when G2 comes again to the mid lane. Both teams know so much pressure around this lane, especially in the lane swaps when you have those supports and top laners looking for the level 1 ganks. And so it still is going to be a flash expended though. Still pressure applied by G2 towards Faker.
Owner has gotten this entire bot quadrant though, which is huge in these lane swaps because you want to be the Ivor moving in here to try and contest that, but now you're going to be the Ivor moving back up towards the weak side of the map. Now obviously has prepped a lot of the camps you can see, but Owner being able to steal away that is going to be huge.
Hook. No buffer, Caps has to flash. Use the rocket jump a moment too early. Caps pulled back, burns his flash, so now neither of the mid laners have a flash at their disposal.
All right, even Stevens in mid lane and also even towards jungle camps, as though Owner has his full red quadrant, but he spent his time to come over and check to make sure that Iron didn't channel the opposite sides. Of course, it is just normal there for Yike, so we'll finish off his clear towards the bottom side and we'll be ahead, but Owner will be able to clear up the rest of his red quadrant, no problem.
Importantly for Zeus, he got about 3/4 of a level just underneath that tower in the bot lane. Broken Blade's going to TP up here, catch this wave, so he'll be able to equalize the disadvantage he has over Zeus as he catches... Did I say so? Oh, equalize. Yeah. Oh, I didn't even think about it.
Oh my God, wait a sec.
Has to burn the flash. Broken Blade flash follows, already hit level 2. Where you going, Zeus? The Broken Blade has been reforged as BB gets a solo.
I was about to say this is going to work out great for Zeus. He has the teleport advantage. He can go for an early reset, get this lead in lane, but Broken Blade shuts him down immediately coming back into lane.
Europe needed some signs of life there, and Broken Blade delivers solo bolo on the top side.
And burning Zeus' flash as well makes it so much more susceptible to a dive later on. You can see Owner's in the vicinity. Yike clearing out the Scuttle Crab right now. Owner's going to poke his head around the corner. Yike sees him with the push. Root Caller, Trigger Seed down as well. Just keeping Owner at bay. Want to make sure that Caps is safe in the mid lane.
Yeah, definitely a lot harder to solo kill people as Ivern.
You say that when he had 25 Magi stacks, he did a pretty good job of it.
I think we would like to get him there again if that helps. Yeah.
But look at this, the tower shot, and Broken Blade says the tower shot is all the extra damage that I need. He follows with the flash, even with the magic damage shield, chases him down, and he calls it as he's finishing, and the cooldown of his leap strike comes right back up. I mean, sometimes it's those small things, you know, right? That tiny bit of harassment under tower, that little bit of damage that can change the course of an entire series.
Okay, that's way too much hope, Kobe. That is way too much.
I stared right at your eyes and just want to inject that hopium into your arm.
Caps jumping in onto Faker. He's going to get knocked back with the seismic shove. Yike there with the trigger seed just to make sure that Caps comes out healthier on that exchange. You can see Carrier and Gumayusi pushing in here, getting that control ward down. Will be there for the second red buff spawn. I actually think T1 might just go for an early Drake. You can see a couple of pings coming out. Owners on this side of the map, and it might not be, they will be spotted by the Scuttle Crab as they dance around that vision.
I think G2 going to be happy enough to go for the Void Group take instead, especially if Broken Blade is going to be able to continue this pressure on the top side. He will be in a good spot to try and take over the lane, but you can see from the CS, he needs to get a lot of this underneath the tower, and Yike wants to try and help.
I mean, Broken Blade's just going to look for the kill. Zeus there with the Flaying Spitter. Broken Blade trying to dodge away from it. Yike coming in with the bush, and Zeus tanks 2 tower shots. 1 more's enough. Zeus will fall even with the scrap shield. Broken Blade realizes leap strike. 2 on the board for BB.
What is a god to a top father? Broken Blade is the hope. 2 kills now for him. This Jax, all right, is the hopium hitting now?
I don't want to admit it. We gotta hold on,
Kobe.
All right. We'll put a
They
stop.
had leads in every game.
We'll put a stop to that now. T1 refocusing here.
Why do you want to hurt us?
Caps jumps in. Owner's there in time. Faker hits level 6, has the explosive shot on him, down to 200 HP. Caps gets the reset. Jumps away from Owner. Yike now chasing in. Trigger seed down. No one moving from the bot lane. Root caller only onto Owner. Faker, no flash. Threaded the volley onto Yike. Owner and Faker will be forced away.
Nice again from Caps just to get the buffer, so we'll force Faker out of lane, and he just reset to come back in there, so we'll lose out on a little bit of that CS and maybe even a turret blade, although Faker looks like he wants to stick around as he still has Owner keeping him safe over the wall.
Meanwhile, this bottom lane here, I mean, the Braum pick's so massive for Mickey, and they pushed him under tower, trying to harass and trying to deny, while T1 will pick up the opposite side of the map here.
It's really good pressure from Zeus in the lane. Even though he's died twice, he's been forcing BB out. The wave state's relatively neutral. Broken Blade doesn't have TP, so unless G2 bring Caps across from the mid lane, which they can do, it will be all 3 grubs going over to T1.
Yeah, Owner doesn't quite have his second smite charge here, so you gotta get at least yoinks over one of them, but as you say, you know, Caps on the Tristana, so much mid-prio, able to move on over and threaten. I think, you know, T1 though are pretty dang happy that they were able to grab 2 of those in addition to their Dragon. Just for later.
And I think a lot of that coming from Faker deciding to stick around in the mid lane. Wasn't too worried about Caps diving under the turret because he didn't know where Owner was, but it means he's able to clear out the wave. Caps actually sticks around in the mid lane to try and keep that pressure up on Faker. It means he can't roam over to try and spot out if T1 are taking those void moves.
There you're trying to stand underneath this tower. You can see G2 trying to get a little bit more damage. Would be 4 plates for them if they can take this. Carrier hits level 4.
And Owner about to hit level 6. That breakpoint that we were looking for, the Vi ultimate. Now, he can combine with Faker. He does not have to combine with Faker in mid lane at Caps, though. If they are worried about his ability to buffer the CC, his flash, his mobility on the Tristana, they can have Faker try and roam with Owner.
Turn out to Gumayusi here. Unbreakable comes down. There's a chain of corruption as well, and Gumayusi is low. Pops the cleanse, so has the flash and uses it to dash away, but now Carrier's stunned up and doesn't have a flash of his own. G2 find a kill in the 2v2.
And this is looking like what happened against Top Esports with G2 on the Braum able to get it. Now Yike trying to spot out where Gumayusi is. He's deep under tower though.
Good block by Owner, getting away from that root caller. Smite goes down from Yike. Owner now is going to have the concussive blows blocking on him. Daisy will help Yike put the damage down onto Owner. The flash still available, has to use it. There's the knock-up follow-up into the root caller. Mickey pulled under the tower. The season just sits enough to give Owner the shield just in time. And now Carrier begins to wail away on Yike. Faker and Caps still trading. Caps going the wrong way around. Faker entering around the roses, and Faker It's just too good at this game. He escapes.
He wins hide and seek as well as reading around the Rosie, but Keria showed up just in time to save Owner there. I was about to compliment Yike for baiting an Owner. He starts channeling on the Gromp, and the way you stop Ivern is you have to touch him, and so it baited Owner in too close, and they almost got the stun kill, but not quite enough. Keria comes to save the day at the tower. This game is so incredibly intense, and bottom side had been swinging so heavily. Here's a look at what happened mid, though.
Oh, Caps, the flash over the flick back means that then he's able to jump. Does end up getting stunned, though. Needed to wait that out a little bit longer, and then Caps just trying to chase him down on this bottom side, but you can, oh, even the flick back once more to keep him safe, and then
I mean, Faker did this so well, because if Caps gets one more auto off, that's the ultimate. That's Buster Shot and Faker dies.
The thing is, though, with all this play going on, Caps gets the push in mid, 2 plates gone there, and the push in bot while Yike was overextending into that bot side gave, as you can see, 4 plates over to Hansama as well, opening up an 800 gold difference. He's already got the opportunity, so Hansama going to become way more threatening in the spot lane now.
What an opportunity it is for G2. 0-2 in the series. That one.
You've had so many puns. I refuse to believe that you don't mean to do that.
That one was deliberate.
There is no warn, though, so we don't know for certainty whether this is going to be a good spot, you know?
Yeah. No one knows that one, man. No one knows that one. That's good, though. In the top lane, Honor's relatively even though BB was able to get those couple of early kills. You can see 20 CS lead for Zeus, who is having a hell of a series so far. Caps no flash in the mid lane, while Fakers is back off cooldown. So expect to see Owner making a visit towards his mid laner once again. The cease and desist up in about 40 seconds or so, maybe even less. Maybe the top lane is the target. Broken Blade trying to trade here with Zeus. Doesn't really have any resistances as of yet.
Yeah, stands and roasts him there. He also has the biggest, most important top lane skill that you can have, and that is jungler on your side of the map.
It might be a dive. Is it going to be repeated in the bottom side? Owner looking for Broken Blade, does have the flash. Vault Breaker out. Zeus tanks a tower shot. Vault Breaker. Broken Blade dashes and dodges it. The Weaver's wall sees the assist, the equalizer, and Broken Blade dodged this. Shut down for T1. Owner takes it.
Broken Blade investing the flash with 3 members of T1 there, and now they get to move over towards the Void Grub respawn, looking to pick up 4 as Dragon is traded for G2 on the bottom side.
Yeah, what a choice there from T1. They make the call really early on. Sacrifice bottom half of the map, bottom side, move away from your tower. We're going to go for the dive play in order to get the extra grubs also in the aftermath.
Will be 5 grubs to 1 in favor of T1. The Drake for G2 just answers the earlier Dragon that was taken by T1. Yike's able to steal away a blue, but in the end, a worthwhile trade for T1. They got the shutdown as well, remember.
And one of the key reasons, well, Yike here does get the slow.
You're looking for Daisy, but Faker has flash. Mickey's on his way. Daisy looking for that knock-up. Trigger Seed forward. Vault Breaker out. Unraveled Earth going down. Root Caller. Mickey dashes forward, but through the Unraveled Earth, there's a stun. Keria here to join the double knock-up. It's only Mickey and Yike. Yes, they can win these sorts of trades, but even with Daisy, I don't think they have the damage.
That combo has a lot of CC, but it does not have a lot of damage. That's definitely true.
Leona, you know, that would have made the difference.
Or 25 Magi stacks, you know, that probably helps.
Yeah.
Regardless, though, well, here we're going to have another one. Ooh, 2 stacks. They're not going to go for it. Guma going to give them a little harassment on the way out. But I still think it was such a smart decision from T1 to make that trade at the time they did, because especially you do not want to give over even the 4 grub mark to G2 with the Jax split pushing possibilities. So they really wanted to deny any sort of possibility that G2 had at getting to the buff to have the extra Void Might there, and we're able to do so. So goal achieved there.
And once again, it's a game where G2 are out to a bit of an early lead, 13 minutes in, 1,200, 1,300 gold. But T1 continue to find these picks, continue to find these plays, and look for the plates as well a minute before those fall off.
I think this is the game, though, where we've seen G2 get... Oh, actually, hang on. Broken Blade. Going to be under attention again.
Counter-Strike already used. You can see Yike's on his way. Pops over to the Krugs with the Root Caller. Caps underneath the mid-wave, but not tanking up the tower yet. Gets another plate to his name. Faker will eat an explosive charge on his head. It should be all well that ends well in the mid lane.
This is the first time in this series we've seen G2 get a real lead for Hansama and for Caps, so I'm curious if this is where G2 are going to be able to leverage that in towards, hey, we can look towards, you know, next Dragon that's coming up. We've already got one for ourselves. Rift Herald in 30 seconds. Owner trying to steal away camps from Yike on the bottom side and put pressure on Caps at the same time, though. Maybe the way that they can try and shut this down.
I really think it comes down to some of those objective fights as the flash onto Gumayusi. Cleanses away. Glacial Fissure doesn't hit. Carrier stunned up. Hansama has that chain of corruption. Mickey tanking up Guma for now. The Fate's Call will pull him out, but Caps is on the flank. And Caps is looking for more. Where you going, Carrier? No wave now for G2 to continue the push, and Caps will just go back to mid.
Yeah, you can see the coordination on that play pretty early on, but bottom
Broken
side...
Blade stop just in front of Ona, dodges the Vault Breaker, the Equalizer goes down, Counter-Strike from BB, cease and desist available for Ona though. Broken Blade really no hope of getting out of this one as Ona chases him down.
But this is still going to be T1 getting the bot lane tower and being able to keep themselves safe in the top end. Yes, Ripshot will go across, but Zeus very quickly starting to turn what was a bit of a miserable early game into a 1.2k gold lead for himself.
Yep, their reaction, they saw Caps roam up to the top side. They make their opposite side play, but Caps is on the map again.
Zeus flashes away. Caps is on the chase, has the Kraken Slayer complete, and I'm not sure Zeus gets away from this. Caps jumps on his head and sends him into the dirt.
We saw how important this Tristana could be, but it is not topside.
Faker's here, the Weaver's walling in. Redemption coming out as Broken Blade TPs into the fight. Carrier the first of all, Counter-Strike on the Gumayusi as well. No Ghost, no Cleanse, no Flash, no hope for Guma. G2 find two more.
Two really big plays in side lanes here for G2. They get the Herald, they get the extra kills there. That's going to be a tower for Broken Blade, who does need money here to catch right back up. His Trinity Force was just completed, but solo outer tower gold is going to go a long way. And Caps, the Tristana that kind of started it all here, is going to be another big carry.
I also think actually we're going to get the reset from Hansama. You can see Mickey had forced Faker down to that bottom side. Wasn't sure if they're going to try and even stick around for mid lane tower, but with Dragon in 50 seconds, that's going to be the big one. But the TP from Broken Blade here is huge. Also, Mickey being the main engage that T1 have to absorb is just too much. The engage sets up perfectly here for Broken Blade as he comes in with the counter strike. The leap strike is already there, and Hansama is just getting the free fire this entire time in the backline.
It is hell for a Nautilus to play into Daisy and Braum. Both of them just hard counter everything you want to do. Whenever you engage, concussive blows. Daisy stands in the way of your dredge line. It becomes impossible for Carrier in situations like this. So now so much onus rests on Ona. Can he cease and desist the right target? Can you get the flick back out of it? And right there, they just didn't have the layering of CC that T1 needed to win out the fight. Now a 3,000 gold lead for G2, but Broken Blade might be caught once again. Ona's here, cease and desist available. Zeus here as well. There is a tower for Broken Blade. There's Redemption 2, cease and desist goes down, but the Flame Spitter will be enough to break Broken Blade's back.
Interesting commitment up to the top side while Dragon is spawning, so I assume that G2 should be able to push out mid and grab Dragon for that, and at least continue their objective focus. Like you said, like they've got a very good defensive peel setup here, trying to get mid tower first as Faker blast cones right in.
Chain of Corruption going out from Hansama as well. Carrier was able to dredge line away. The tower falls. Next up, the Drake for G2 would only be their second.
The thing is, how confident do you feel about taking this as G2 though? You did end up using a lot of ultimates on that, but looks like T1 happy to just back it up. They did have the ult advantage and a TP on Zeus if they want to bring him in, but it looks like they're just going to take that top tower instead of looking for the fight against G2.
Double fed AD carries on the side of G2 with plenty of protection for themselves. And Dragon slowly stacking. Iron does take a while to finish it off, but will collect it and will set that timer again.
For T1, the issue now becomes how do you actually get on that backline? How do you actually kill them? We talked about the cease and desist, talked about that threat, but if G2 are just A moving in, if it's just a Protoss Colossus A move towards you, it's very hard to defeat that death ball. It's very tricky. What the T1 have done so well is threaten the side lane, threaten Broken Blade, force him behind. He's 1.3k gold in the hole, but Caps is 2k ahead, and so is Hansama.
And it's what got T1 into the position they're in, is playing through those side lanes, playing off of map state, getting Zeus these early leads. And G2 have to try and break it, an elimination game. They need everything they possibly can, and so often it is laid on Caps, but for T1 it has been Faker, it has been Zeus who has stepped up for them, and they are performing once more here. And may just try to catch out G2 as they push on forward.
G2 pushing in. Ona waiting in the wings. Broken Blade will face check him. Vault Breaker away. Tower yet to have any chip damage. Faker looking for the seismic shove. Misses. Edge of Night procced on Hansama. Mickey lands. The Winter's bite and Carrier feels the cold of it.
Yeah, G2 have a lot of split options there with 4-1. Caps is so strong right now. Tristana just blows up the wave, so they're trying to move into the jungle on the pass-through and at least leave behind their wards for a return.
And with the Rift Herald in tow, it feels at the moment that G2 kind of feel a bit impenetrable. They get to set up on the mid wave, they'll be able to use the Rift Herald to try and knock down these structures, and as long as they're not getting caught out by creative plays from T1, they should be fine, but that's what T1 have done best. Even you can see their owners heading up on top wave to try and catch G2 as they overextend, but it's these inner towers that G2 are going to be looking now to crack open and keep getting more and more gold onto Caps and Hansam.
That's why it's critical for G2 to ward up the jungles. T1 are constantly going to look for Vi and Nautilus picking people off. And if you warp the jungles, it makes them go through lanes to pull off those plays and hard commit to one side of the map.
This is collapsing. Ona looking for Yike, can't find him. Instead, Zeus, the target, TP in by G2. They find one. Ona can bolt breaker away, but Daisy's looking for the knock-up onto Carrier here. Dredgeline immediately goes into the back of Daisy, who does fall. Caps jumping forward, Fate's call away from the concussive blows. G2 find another pick. They have a wave pushing in bot.
How much can they get off the back of this? Cap's going to make his way down to that bot wave as the rest of G2 look to siege up on this turret. But
Broken blade, he's seismically shoved into T1's waiting moors. They find one. Mickey now on the front line. Redemption coming down to try and heal up. The concussive blows onto Ona, forces him low. Mickey finds Carrier. Ona down to 100 HP. Gumi, Yushi, a couple more auto attacks would stun him up, and instead the tower's the target. Cap still pushing in bot.
Oh, Mickey with the flash ignite support on support kill. And as you mentioned it, that was all without their Fed Tristana, without Caps, who's going to get another 800 gold off this tower.
And G2 very much trying to close out this game as Yike is caught.
Dodges away from the seismic shove. Faker still on the chase, has the flash. Yike has one of his own. He'll use it to get to that blast cone. Doesn't need it yet. Caps just opens up on Zeus. He flashes the buster shot. Zeus is ticking, but it's not enough. The Knight's Vow actually applied from Carrier to reduce the damage. Now Caps tries to TP out, but Faker's here. The TP is in time. Caps escapes the great Houdini from EU.
And Caps is making magic happen for G2. Doesn't quite get the kill, but manages to escape, and now gets to come back out onto the map. This is where T1 can be a little dangerous, though. Having those teleports advantages, Zeus needs to try and link up with his team, but with where G2 are positioned, they have the waves in their favor. They can set up the vision. They can slowly choke T1 out of this game.
Yeah, I think Yike and Caps both have to be kind of careful now, as those are going to be the people that T1 are looking for, but this one was a nice snipe over the Raptor wall, even though G2 still have priority and they're still able to flash in and get the counter kill there. That arrow actually barely missing Owner too.
I will say, it's not often you get to see a fight with the Rift Herald with the knock-up, and now we're going to see another fight in the river as Yike's the one who's locked up and Yike falls. Mickey on the front line. Caps trying to open up. So far it's a jungler for jungler exchange. Mickey falling low though, Guma in the pit. Caps, it's all on him, ready to do the damage alongside Hansama, and there is the piercing arrow through the hearts of T1. They're forced away once again. Guma had to flash out of the back of the pits.
But that's the play that I was just talking about. Zeus teleports in, they catch out G2 and manage to get two members, slow down G2, and that's all the T1 want to do. Get to items, slow down the pace of this game, look for these little moments where they can claw their way back into this game.
Here's how it happened. Owner slipped in.
That's really good movement.
Yeah, the double sweepers with the reveals there on the other side. And the exact person we mentioned they're going to look for. Yike with no flash. Ivern goes down very quickly. But the return damage on G2, enough to stop kind of a snowball possibility there from T1.
Especially when you're right in front of Baron, that could have got very, very dicey for G2. So we'll have to make sure they are dotting their I's and crossing the T's. But moving in now towards this top side, Broken Blade, open up on the bot end, still no teleport quite available. But G2 know that those teleport advantages will be up soon.
G2 got the Drake while we were watching that replay, so they're one away from a Chemtech Soul. Hansama sitting at 3 items, Guma only at 1.5 right now on this Kalista. Obviously giving the safety to Carrier with that phase call can be very powerful in team fights, but in terms of outright damage output, we already see what Hansama's piercing arrows can do.
Certainly have, and neither of these G2 AD carries have gone down in this game. G2 throwing everything to protect them. Doing a very good job as far as the win cons here.
I'm pretty sure there's a lot of AD carries around the world that say, give me an Ivern with Redemption Moonstone and a Braum with Locket with Knight's Vow, I'm pretty sure I can stay alive in that game too.
Yeah, but there's very few who actually can stay alive.
True, and Mickey hasn't finished his Knight's Vow yet.
Say it.
Yeah.
Yes, a 5,000 gold lead for G2. They start to set up this vision line at the top side. Ono is still waiting in that bush, seeing if someone answers the push on the wave. It's relatively neutral right now, so no one from G2 going up. Ona stops his recall as well. G2 are pushing up towards this top side, but Ona does have a flank position.
I'm still trying to keep my eyes on Broken Blade. He's a little bit had a little bit of a tough time with the amount of pressure the team would have given him, but trying to get back in this game. Owner cancels the reset though.
He's been waiting here so long. Caps has no flash. The Bolt Breaker out. Mickey is just around the corner.
It's timed
Ona
out.
doesn't go for it. As you say, it's timed out. Ona still unseen by G2. Broken Blade pressuring in the bot lane. Does have the TP. Well, only Faker has one for T1, so he'll have to answer that pressure.
And G2 are trying to do what T1 did last game. Open up the pressure on bot side with Broken Blade, and now start up the Baron. They don't know where Owner is, though. Will be spotted as he tries to come in towards River.
Be spotted by that ward behind. Caps peels away from it. Now they see Owner's there. Spotted with the Scryer's boom. BB still pushing in bot.
The split push is doing its work there. But Faker can answer pretty easily here on the Taliyah.
But this is the thing, it's you have the double teleport advantage at the moment for G2, and that's all they're trying to do. It's the exact same that T1 did in the last game. They push out bot, they drift Broken Blade across, and Baron is started up again. Owner, can he get into the pit?
All right, the game is in the palm of their hands for G2 right now. Don't crack.
And there's the reset bit. Broken Blade parts back down towards bot. G2 back away from it. They didn't get any summoners out. Didn't get that TP from Faker. Zeus now almost has his teleport back up.
With only 2 minutes on Dragon arrival for a Dragon Soul, that's also way less risky as an objective for G2.
Chain of Corruption across the wall. Carrier walks into it. The dredge line away into the Fate's Call will get him to safety. Glacial Fissure was short. Carrier lost half his HP for it though.
But that's going to be T1 needing to reset it. G2 are in front of Baron. Ivern just reset. Yike is going to be at the pit. Owner spotted.
I think G2 are gonna wait, but they're forcing them to think about it twice. That with all the vision coverage, they keep on forcing them to check. Dragon now only a minute and a half away.
That ward just constantly spotting Owner. There's a ward in the pit, I think, from T1, if I recall correctly. It's been cleared out by the control ward. You can see Faker checking with the threaded volley. Drake up in a minute and a half.
Still 2 blue scrying wards on T1 though, so they can use them to periodically check the pit, and you need to get them out for G2 if you want to be able to start this up. But with Dragon in a minute's time, your window for G2 to try and play on both sides of this is very quickly dwindling, so lanes become the priority. Push in mid, push in bot. Cap's going to try and do the same on top.
G2's tournament hopes on a knife edge. We've seen how explosive the T1 can already be in this series. All it took was one team fight really for them to win the last game. On the back of Faker, they've done it so many times before, and the Baron is their playground for so long. They were irked by it, cursed by it. The T1 Baron, bad setup, but over the last 2 years they have refined and refined and refined, and now G2 are calling them to the battleground.
Set up for success here. Hansama with over a 3,000 gold lead over Gumayushi. Caps, level 16, continually scaling his range on the Tristana. They have the firepower, and here comes the Dragon. All that they have to do for G2 is keep their vision on Baron, and then force T1 over to the Soul.
This fight is going to be explosive though. Every summoner spell up, every TP, and Mickey going to try and force something, but Gumayushi doesn't blink.
Didn't need to. There was no real threat on the backline as Caps is hooked. Has the time to jump away. Redemption in season desist. Caps is caught, and Caps is down. T1 find the first in the fight, and now it's all on Hansama to do whatever damage he can. Yike's gonna go down as well, and we said it would be explosive. Well, who else but T1 in this moment to put you in the dirt? Your dreams will die in the face of T1.
In the critical moment, T1 find their kill on Caps. They find their kill on the rest of G2. It's only Broken Blade to stand and watch as they take the Baron.
But it is a broken top laner for G2. He has not had his items sitting there too. He has no hope of getting in here. He will go over towards the Dragon, but T1, they found what they needed.
The engage on Caps, who oversteps. T1 punish him immediately.
G2 just aren't in a position to follow up on Mickey, and then this hook from Carrier. doesn't get buffered. The route is there, and just enough time for Owner to get in with the cease and desist, the flick back from Faker, and it's a poke Varus. He cannot deal enough damage right now, and Broken Blade isn't there. Chemtech Dragon is taken in the bottom right side of your screen, but we just get to watch as T1 realize they found their moment to shut down G2.
And that is what you see from world champions. When they find an opening like that, you're not counting on, oh, hey, we're going to get a hook onto Caps. But when they do, everyone instantly ultimates. They jump on the opportunity. If you show an opportunity to this team, they will capitalize on it. And now, even chasing into the jungle.
Dyke has no flash. The cease and desist goes down and locks him up. And even with the redemption, I don't think you're getting any of that, G2. T1 continue to punish. And now the push even stronger. Already 3,000 gold off it.
A moment was all that T1 needed. And they've taken everything from G2. They're starting to push in on this top side. They really want to push G2 out of MSI to put themselves firmly in the conversation of still contesting for MSI champions.
They'll take the tier 2 in the top lane, and now the gold swings in their favor. 1.5k ahead for T1. We've seen how the fights play out for G2. Now it's scrambling, it's desperation. How do you get back into this game?
Well, they still have Dragon Soul power here with Iron Shields, with the safety of a Braum. If they can have a defensively set up team fight and have their double AD carries in the back line, they still can win.
And it comes back to Caps. Yes, he got caught in the last fight, but a poke Varus from Hansam is never going to carry these fights. It has to be the Tristana, and he has stepped up for G2 in the past. He's been the one that they look towards in these moments, but you are going up against Faker, the guy who's been the most clutch player in the world and tries to catch Mickey.
Reaver's wall in, Seismic Shelf back, Mickey with the Unbreakable, tanks it up. The power of Braum in that situation. Broken Blade still pushing in top.
Chemtech Soul with the Iron Shields, with the safety here. G2 now trying to defend their own territory and buy time for Broken Blade to split push. The ultimate from Zeus will push Broken Blade off the tower for now, but he did lay a lot of damage into that.
Definitely hurting Broken Blade as he walks away. But this is just going to be a case of trying to get lanes in your favor. G2 going to continue to push. With the Baron buff just about to fade, T1 will reset and be looking towards that Elder Dragon in 3 minutes' time.
Yeah, T1, there's so much about these picks. And they have been able to get the critical ones just when they need it. But when this Elder Dragon comes up, it's all down to the objective. We have seen games won and lost on those smite fights.
And the beautiful thing is, all these flashes and everything are going to be up again because it happened at that last Dragon fight. You can see a bunch of those summoner spells about to come back up. And you just don't really feel like, again, Broken Blade has the items that he really wants to try and be a big menace. You're about to tick over towards the Rabadon's death cap coming through for Faker. It looks like it's going to be the two solo laners for T1 versus Caps and a little bit of Hansama. And if either of those sides drop, it's going to be the win for their respective teams.
I think the big thing for G2 is, can you get Broken Blade a third item? Because you do have Moonstone, Redemption, Ardent Sensor. You have that buff from the Ivern. And it works just as well on a Jax as it does on a Caps. But right now, they are the defensive team. For so long in this game, they have been in control. They've been the team pushing in. T1 now have a slew of wards in that river. Control, control, control for them. They'll reset, they'll get those wards replenished, and then they can step back onto the map and push G2 back.
But G2 haven't found a way to break T1 in this series when they have a lead. It has been T1 slowly but surely taking more and more advantages. This is the final test for G2. Can they overcome what has kept them in place this whole series long? Or will T1 be able to sweep them aside in a 3-0?
And as much as Cap says G2 are the main characters, so many times we see T1 holding that position. So many times they've been at the top of the charts. World champions last year, of course, continuing their title runs if they manage to win this MSI, although domestically sometimes they struggle, although Gen G often stand in their way and will stand in their way if they make it to this MSI finals. T1 the name on everyone's lips when it comes to internationals. As the hook goes down onto Mickey. No unbreakable for him. Depth charge in as well. The side big shot back. And Mickey oversteps. And T1 punish him. TP in by Broken Blade as Carrier dashes across the wall. But G2 immediately call for the retreat.
Another opportunity. G2 separated. And T1 pounce again. Carrier turns on him. They get the kill. And now Baron arriving in 42 seconds. That's definitely enough time for Mickey to respawn at least.
It's just Mickey taking those steps too far forward, not having Yike to try and help him set up the jungle. And T1, they're now starting to collapse. Caps is spotted.
Caps will see Faker. I think that's important for G2. They can back away, avoid the Weaver's wall. Mickey up in 6.
That death does mean they've got full vision coverage, full supremacy there. A couple of stragglers left through though, and they're gonna go for the reset first. Spend the money.
Who call it dodged? Faker, seismic shove, Yike flashes it. Again, a summoner down before the fight really begins here for G2.
It's denying those resets for T1 though. And the Baron is spawned. You don't really have a huge amount of vision left in the back pockets of T1. G2 have a lot more, so that's why T1 wanted to reset, but now Baron has been started.
Zeus was on the bottom side of the map. He's going to TP in behind them. 9,000 on the Baron, a last Hail Mary here for G2. The story continues to be written as the Weaver's wall goes down. There's the equalizer. Yike falling low. The shutdown on Faker. And Yike goes down. So Ona will take the Baron. And T1 will take G2's lives. What can you do in the face of such relentless hate by T1?
People doubted T1 in this series. They said that G2 were favored. G2 do not stand a chance against the onslaught of T1.
The world champions looking at a 3-0 sweep.
They're the champs for a reason. How many times do they have to teach you this lesson, G2? Last week it took them 5. This week they'll do it in 3. No one from G2 will be alive in time. You can be the main character all you want, G2, but your chapter is over. The story of T1 continues tomorrow.
T1 once again with the poise on stage. They have been through so much together. This squad has been to the very top. They have had their backs against the walls. They have been in so many different situations. And today versus G2, they beat them again. Twice in the same tournament, proving they are the better squad.
But a decisive victory for T1 here as well. There was no doubt that they were the better team on the day, and no doubt that they looked way more improved than we've seen all MSI long. This was a statement series from T1. They want to show that they belong in that top 3.
And for T1 now, it's rematch after rematch.
Exactly.
Take down G2, next up BLG, who only beat you a couple of days ago, and then the final boss, Genji, sitting there waiting for you. They've beaten you 4 times in a row domestically. Can you take the MSI title away from them? For G2, obviously disappointment. Coming into this tournament, I think people underestimated them, myself included, but what they showed against top esports, what they showed against T1 last week was promising. It gave us hope. And now today, that hope a little bit less bright.
But that's what they said, Caps, was we wanted to bring hope to the West again, to show that we can go toe-to-toe with the LCK and with the LPL. And they beat top esports. They look good in one series against T1, but the world champions will very quickly put you back in your place if you overstep. And unfortunately, G2 just could not match up to them today.
So good, so decisive in their plays, T1.
I think we're ready to hand over. I can see the analyst desk looking at me. I haven't had the producers in my ear, which is why I don't know. So we are going to hand it over to the analyst desk. Guys, take it away.
Yeah, we are ready. Thank you so much, Medic. We'll get to our interviews due to kind of the hierarchy and the order. We'll probably get to the exit interview for G2 first, but I'll keep you updated on that. We, of course, will talk to T1. And it's so interesting that it was just such a different match from the first time when you talk about being able to